everybody. Welcome back to the podcast IT Coach for Business Leaders, brought to you by InfoSystems. I'm Josh Davis, the Marketing Director at InfoSystems, and with me is Aaron Swann, our virtual CIO and the IT coach for all business leaders everywhere.
Everywhere?
Oh, yeah. So we're going big time now.
Okay.
But glad to be back with a new podcast episode. We recently talked about some IT security issues. Those were fantastic episodes. If you haven't listened to those, I highly recommend that you go back and take a listen to our last couple of episodes. I think you'll find a lot of value in what we talked about regarding IT security. Now we're going to switch gears and talk a little about what if you pay attention to the IT industry, has really become a buzzword. Not that the IT industry ever has any buzzwords, but if you've heard the term managed services or managed IT services, managed services provider, I mean, that has really become, for IT services companies, sort of the de facto term that everyone feels like they have to conform to in the industry. And the reason everything switched to what is called a managed services model is there was a shift in the industry when the cloud really started becoming pervasive, that companies realized they were better off if they could switch to a monthly recurring revenue agreement with customers rather than operating on ad hoc projects that just occurred at random times. You know, it's just a more sustainable business model. And so IT companies began crafting these managed services agreements, it's essentially just outsourcing. You're outsourcing bits or all of your IT operations to a third-party partner. And that's nothing new. It sort of just became all the rage over the last probably 5 to 6 years in the IT industry. So today we're just going to talk a little about what is managed services really. And in the future, probably for the next several episodes, we'll break down into sort of small bite-sized chunks how managed services are delivered for different parts of an IT environment. And I think this will be really helpful for, especially for small business owners or executives who don't really, they see the dollars that go out to IT, but they don't really understand the different types of models that are available out there for them to receive IT services from a provider. InfoSystems has been doing managed services for actually a long time before it became a buzzword. But as managed services became more and more of a thing, more and more of our customers have moved over to that model, to where now it makes up a sizable part of our business. We still do a lot of traditional IT projects, and we still sell hardware components, but a large chunk of our business now is in ongoing agreements where we're actively a part of the IT operations within a company. So today, Aaron, we'll just talk a little bit about what are managed services, and I guess I could just lob it over to you at this point and say, what are managed services to you? But let's hear some of your perspective about after my lead-in, what are your managed services?
Well, as you said, InfoSystems has been doing managed services for quite a long time. I would say 15, 20 years we've been in the business of doing that. Before it was fashionable, Clay, our owner, has been very forward-looking about that. And but as you said, in recent years, it started to become really hot. It's the go-to term. Much like the term cloud, which you also mentioned,
yeah.
It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
So for us, managed services means it comes down to being more proactive rather than reactive. We certainly have in the past and do still for some of our customers. We'll do a reactive to where if they have a problem, they call us. we roll a truck and a technician goes out there, spends a little bit of time getting familiar with their environment because he may not have seen it in who knows how long, and then fixes the problem, and we send them a bill and they pay it, hopefully, and maybe everyone's happy, maybe not. Managed services is a little different approach, and that is we have sat down with the business owner ahead of time and figured out what their IT needs are, tried to design a solution that's going to fit them well, and then we support that. We become their partner in IT over time to keep their IT running smoothly. I'll tell you, I get an opportunity in my role to go out on a lot of calls with our sales force and sit down with potential customers. And inevitably, when we sit down with a company that is searching for a new IT partner, whether because they've been trying to do it themselves and realize they don't have the resource to do that, or maybe they're unhappy with their current provider, inevitably they will have a laundry list of, problems. And so I'll always ask the question, what are your pain points? What's bothering you right now? And they will come back with, just a long list. And I'll sit there and I'll listen to the list, and I would say 90% of the items on that list I hear over and over and over. It's the same thing. To them, it's it's unique, it's important. It's just like how are we going to solve this? In some cases it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
To us, we've heard this over and over, and it's like, you know what, Mr. Customer, I tell you what, a lot of these problems, we could help you with those just by first starting off with making sure your design is right. I found that 80-90% of IT problems go away if you just have a properly designed network that's done from the top down, starting with the idea of what are your needs. Let's really identify those. Let's tailor this solution to be what it needs to be, rather than just ad hoc, put a bunch of pieces together and throw it in a room. Yep. Beyond that, then the managed services kicks in, and we do scheduled, proactive maintenance. So we're monitoring the systems, always looking for those things, the problems that may occur, and try to fix them before they happen, rather than wait for call and say, hey, I ran out of hard drive space today. Yep. If we're monitoring that system, we will be keeping track of what disk space is being used, and we'll see trends over time. And I'll be able to call you up and say, hey, Mr. Customer, looks like over the last 3 months, your use of space on this particular system has gone up by 30%. I don't know what's going on in your business right now, but if that trend continues, 6 months from now, you're going to run out of space. So let's budget for this now. Let's plan for it now, so that you don't call me one day and say, my servers are down because they ran out of space.
Way better to be aware of something 6
Absolutely.
months in advance than the day it happens.
Right.
One of the things I've noticed in my role as marketing director, I try to keep tabs on the marketplace and what's happening in our industry, in the marketplace. And so I see what other companies are offering and how they position their offerings and things like that. And I see a lot of companies who don't have the capabilities that InfoSystems has, pushing out a managed services offering. And in some cases, these aren't really even IT companies. Right. That deal with servers, storage, networking, and things like that, but yet they're pushing out an IT managed services offering. And what really gets me about that is, in a lot of cases, because this is a real thing in the marketplace, in a lot of cases companies are really just selling software that is owned by a third-party company. And what happens is a company will sign up for a managed services agreement. They get some antivirus software installed and a monitoring agent installed on all of their endpoints. And that monitoring agent communicates back to the third party, the software company's system, not the person's who sold it to you, not their system. And in a lot of those cases, the support may be sourced from another country, from a call center. And I personally feel like if you look around at the markets InfoSystems serves in East Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, the surrounding regions, Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, some of the surrounding states, I doubt business owners in this area really want their computer systems to be monitored by someone who is offshore. And when something happens, when they need help and support, they probably don't want to deal with someone who's an ocean away from them to get help. And so, one of the key things I think we will be communicating throughout all of our episodes where we're talking about managed services is what is the value of having a local partner who is your managed services provider. And for those listening to the audio podcast, I just did the air quotes with my fingers, managed services provider. So,
well, I think you're right, and certainly the confusion has caused a lot of problems in the industry. I have walked into customers, and before we even sat down, it's just like, don't pitch me any of that managed services stuff. I don't want to hear about that, because they are equating that with what you just said, is that it's just being outsourced somewhere else. They're not getting any really value for that, and we have to spend some time educating them. What we mean by it is establishing a relationship with your company to try to do your IT in the lowest cost over the long term that's available to them. It's not about just signing them up and forgetting about them. It's about keeping up with what their business needs are, anticipating what they're going to need to do in the months and years to come, and working with them to budget for that ahead of time, to prepare for it ahead of time, so that there's not surprises.
Yeah, you don't roll down to the local car dealership and purchase a new car, drive off the lot, and drive it until it breaks.
Right.
And then hope you can get help fixing the problems. Ideally, a good car lot would have a service department that helps put together a maintenance plan that keeps your car tuned and rolling. I personally get my oil changed in my car, and if I was a business owner and had a lot of investment in IT components, servers and storage and network components and laptops and tablets and phones and all, I would want to make sure that I'm protecting my investment. Not to mention that there's a lot of additional risk involved in IT systems than just things breaking.
Yeah, I think the car analogy is a great one. A lot of modern cars, car I drive now comes up and tells me when it's time for an oil change, right? Doesn't do it for me,
Right.
but at least makes me aware that that's coming up. In the same way, computers do need regular maintenance to keep things running smoothly. Some of them will generate alerts, but you've got to know how to deal with those alerts and the proper way to do them. For example, you don't change your oil during the middle of a trip, right? Because it's something that takes some time. Similarly, a lot of the maintenance requires patching and things like that. Those have got to be planned to do in a way that doesn't impact your business. So, let's use the Microsoft operating system, for example. Out of the box, Windows is set up to where it will automatically do updates, right? That's a good thing. Or is it? If I let Windows choose to do the updates all by itself, it might decide to do an update that takes, 30, 45 minutes or more to process, and it might decide to do that right when I need to be using my computer.
Yeah, nobody's ever seen that update icon pop up right in the middle of a PowerPoint presentation in front of a group of colleagues or something. That's never happened.
No. So managed services is getting a handle on those things and doing them in the proper time to minimize the downtime for your business, let you be the most productive that you can.
Yeah, ultimately I think when you're talking managed services, it's a term, it's a buzzword, but to us, to InfoSystems, we're really focused on, it doesn't matter what you call it, we're really focused on the partnership between our company, our internal resources, the experts that we have on staff that we've invested, I can't even tell you how many hours and dollars in training and certifications and investing in having the right tools and people trained on those tools to deliver the absolute best to our customers. And so when we enter into a business partnership with a customer, we want to do the best we can in helping them maintain, manage, optimize, run their IT environment to the best of its capability. And so if you want to call that managed services or outsourcing or, whatever you want to call it, to us doesn't matter. I think at the end of the day, for us, it's really about the relationship. And like you said at the beginning, a proactive strategy to handle IT rather than a reactive strategy.
Yeah, it really is all about helping that company. It's in our best interest to help that company succeed, right? Because if they aren't succeeding, if they're not doing well, we lose a customer out of that. Yeah. We want them to succeed. We want them to grow, because then they'll use us more, right? Yeah. So it's in our interest to do the best that we can to help companies be the most efficient that they can and minimize the problems that could take them down.
So when we talk about managed service, I'm just going to kind of preview some of the upcoming episodes real quick. When we talk about managed services, you might be driving around town and see a billboard for managed services, $9.99 a month, $9.99 a month per PC. That's not really the managed services InfoSystems is talking about. Really what that is software that you're paying for. And it doesn't address anything on the back end as far as making sure your systems are set up, secure, working properly, configured, updated, maintained, making sure you have a long-term plan and strategy in place, making sure you're aware of upcoming events, all of those things. And then when the InfoSystems implements a managed services agreement with a customer, it's really, there is no one-size-fits-all agreement. We're really going in and assessing what a customer has in place and building a custom package for them, just for their business.
Yeah, I think that's key. Much to the chagrin of our sales folks, which would like to have a pre-printed set of SKUs that they can sell, right? But that's not the way things work. Yeah, it means going in, typically a vCIO level person like myself going into a company, assessing what they have and if what they have is what they need to have in order to meet the business goals that they have. And that's not one size fits all, right? I mean, so it just depends. And a lot of decisions that need to be made are business decisions. They aren't IT decisions. But we talked about in previous episodes, too often management and IT don't speak, and so they're not on the same page. So that's where in a managed service environment we can go in and help them match that up. And again, managed services shouldn't be something that IT people find threatening. I think sometimes IT folks and some of our customers may feel threatened by the idea of, oh, they're after my job. No, we're not. A lot of times what we're able to do is go in and take things off of your plate that you really don't want to have to be hassling with, so that you can concentrate on the things that you do want to be dealing with. We've done that in both areas. We've helped companies that want to concentrate on development. They want to focus on designing their software to be the most efficient. They don't want to be dealing with patching their PCs. They don't want to be doing with end user support, and so they roll those things over to us. Conversely, we have companies that are the opposite. They want to handle those things. Like, we can handle the maintenance, but man, we really need some help with designing this solution to do X, whatever that is, and we need some subject matter experts to come in and help us with that.
Yep.
We can help with that as well. We can design the plan to fit.
I don't think I've ever heard from a local IT manager or IT director that they're bored at work. If you talk to any IT admin, IT manager, director, they're going to be overwhelmed and overloaded in their day-to-day. And so really what we aim to do is to help them be more effective at their job by partnering and taking the things that make sense, because really a lot of companies are in the position where they're either going to have to hire more resources and make that investment, and then in that case, are you really hiring the people with the right skills? I mean, there are so many facets to it, but really what we want to do is partner with the existing personnel within a company and help them do their job to the best of their ability, deliver the best IT for their organization that they can. So some of the things we'll be talking about in upcoming episodes is managed servers, managed backups and disaster recovery plans, managed security, managed workstations and endpoints, help desk, phone systems, and of course the vCIO, the sort of outsourced IT executive role. And I think these will be a lot of valuable episodes for small business leaders who are really confused about what is managed services, and like you said, people who feel threatened because they feel that people are trying to displace them or replace them, which is never the intention from our perspective. Maybe there are people who have that intention in the market. So anyway, any final comments about the managed services topic before we come back in our next episodes?
No, I would just encourage people to listen to the upcoming episodes and just as we get into the details of what each offering holds. As you said, it can be tailored to each individual customer. Not every customer has all those areas, so it can be tailored to whatever their needs are.
Yep, perfect. Well, great conversation today, Aaron. Looking forward to getting into the next ones, and thank you to everyone who tuned in. We'll see you next time.